Hi, I'm Kenny Harrell. I'm the managing partner at the Joye Law Firm, and as I am sure you're well aware, our firm is part of the free pack of firms that are assisting you or handling your Camp Lejeune contaminated water case, along with the Parker Waichman Law Firm and Bluestein Attorneys. And this is going to be a short video, just really designed to kind of give you an update on where things stand and hopefully some comfort level that things are still progressing. I know it seems awfully slow. We're 3 years in since the law was signed into effect, and unfortunately only a very small portion of cases have been resolved to date. Going to refer to my notes just to make sure I get the facts accurate. Let me start with a little bit of background information that I think will help things be a little bit more understandable. First, the total number of Camp Lejeune claims that was filed ended up coming in at right at 410,000 claims. And to put that in perspective, that's more claims than there are people living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So it gives you some idea as to the vast scope of this claims process and what is having to be wrestled with. Of that number, there have only been a little over 3,000 lawsuits filed. That's not surprising to me or to your legal team, but it may be surprising to you. So well less than 1% of the claims have had a lawsuit filed, and that's consistent with our approach on these claims as well. By and large, we see very little advantage to filing lawsuits on these cases unless there is some extraordinary circumstance where that would be appropriate, because we know that these claims are going to have to be resolved with some sort of an agreement, a global settlement agreement. To date, and this is a little mind-boggling to me, but to date there have been 0 trials. Even though the Eastern District of North Carolina, which is where all these cases had to be filed, they've decided that these are going to be bench trials, meaning judge only, not a jury involved, but still to date, no cases have gone to trial, which I feel like is part of the issue with sort of how slowly some of the claims are processing. And one thing we know, I don't think this federal district, which of course didn't ask to have these cases dropped into their laps, and I'm sure in many ways it's disrupted their entire system. I don't think they could get 3,000 cases resolved in a courtroom, but obviously much less 410,000. So again, there will have to be an alternative way to get the cases resolved. There have been a few settlements. Some of our clients have settled their claims. It's been a very small percentage of our total cases and a very small percentage of the total universe of cases. The only settlements that have occurred thus far have been on cases that would be covered by the Department of the Navy's early settlements or elective option program. And there's certain criteria that only applies to certain conditions. There's requirements as to the period of time at Camp Lejeune, the latency period in terms of when the diagnosis occurred. It's estimated that only around 10% of the total universe of claims would potentially be covered by the elective option program. And of course, not all those cases are going to settle. There are some people that have received these offers under the elective option program, and they've opted to say no and to continue to move forward with the claim process. The good news, if you happen to be one of that small percentage of cases or clients where this program does apply, and you do make the decision to take the settlement offer, is that payments have been processed in about 60 days. So that is good news, and hopefully down the road when there's a more universal settlement, that same sort of time frame will continue to hold. But just a reminder, because this comes up all the time, if you are not covered by the elective option program, well, you're in good company. That applies to 90% and maybe even more of the total claims. It does not mean that you do not have a case. It simply means that you're not going to have the option of settling this case as soon as I'm sure you'd like to, because I haven't talked to a client yet who would not like to get this case settled within the next month if they possibly could. But the claim process will continue. We'll continue to do what we can to try to move your case forward. Again, there've still been no trials. There have been, over the last few weeks, a number of what we refer to as bellweather mediations. And let me kind of explain to you what that means. A mediation is just a settlement conference where the two sides get together, and there's usually an independent lawyer who serves as the mediator, and they see if they can come up with an agreement to settle the claim. Bellweather just means that these cases were picked for a reason, to think that there's something about the case that it could serve as a guide or a basis for getting similar cases resolved, perhaps for a similar amount. You know, that term bellweather is an old English term that applies to a lead sheep, that they would put a bell around its neck and the rest of the flock would follow the sound of the bell. I don't know how they picked out which sheep would be a good leader, but they had some system. You'll hear about bellweather states in an election, like in a presidential election. You'll hear, well, we'll see how Pennsylvania goes. That's probably going to be a bellweather indicator of how the election as a whole will go. So I think it is a good sign that these bellweather mediations are going forward, because hopefully that could be an impetus to try to get a universal settlement agreement in place. Again, with 410,000 claims, that's really the only realistic way that we're going to see these cases get resolved. We do know that the district court in the Eastern District of North Carolina is pushing for a global resolution. Of course they would be, because they'd love to see these cases get taken off of their plates. I'm sure it's been sort of all-consuming for the judges in that district. But from the beginning, we told all of our clients, look, this is likely to be a 5 to 7 year process. Again, we've now just gone beyond the 3-year mark in terms of when this law went into effect. We hope that within the next couple of years we can see a resolution for most of our clients' cases. But rest assured, the 3 firms that are handling these claims on your behalf, we're committed to sticking with you and to sticking with the process for the long haul until we can get these cases resolved. A sad note that I do want to touch on, because sadly, over the past 3 years, a number of our clients have died. And of course, that's not all that surprising. We have a number of clients who are 80 years of age or older. We have several clients that are well into their 90s at this point, given when the problems out at Camp Lejeune started. And of course, a number of our clients are dealing with some really serious health conditions. But do know, if this happens to your loved one, if they've got a Camp Lejeune claim, it does not end the case. We've had people call us, after their husband or their father has died, and said, "Hey, is the case over now that they've died and never got resolved?" No. It just means that we would have to take the proper legal steps to convert the claim into a wrongful death claim. But it is very important that if this happens, please reach out to your legal team. Let us know the details about the death. There's some documents we'll need to get, such as the death certificate. But let us know as soon as possible, because the sooner we know, the sooner we can start to take the steps to make sure that we convert the claim into a wrongful death action. And of course, if there's any other change in your situation, telephone number, address, if any of those things change, please let us know, just so when we do need to get in touch with you, when that day does come, where hopefully we're reaching out to people about a potential resolution, we want to make sure that we can get in touch with you as easily as possible. But that's sort of an overview of where we're at now. Again, thank you. Thank you for putting your trust in our firms. And thank you for your patience. I mean, we know this can be frustrating, but again, we knew from the very beginning it was going to be a drawn-out process, and that was based on 2 primary factors. First, we're dealing with the government, and those of you, particularly if you served in the Marines, you know what it's like to deal with government programs. it's never a speedy process. So that's the first part of the dilemma. And of course, the second part is 410,000 claims. And so just the sheer volume of the number of people that have been affected by this contaminated water, you put those two things together, again, I think that initial estimate of 5 to 7 years, I think it was a good estimate, and we certainly hope that it doesn't take longer than that. But if it does, we'll be there with you until we get this resolved. So again, thank you. Hope this information is of assistance. And as always, if you need to reach out to anyone on our team with either a change in your circumstances or with a question, please give us a call. Thank you.